by plane.
Right. Shilas, it says Yerd Hayam. If you Yerd it Hayam, or if you fly over the Hayam, it's the same.
Right.
Shlepoil, he didn't make
No,
when he flew.
no. Penguins don't make.
They don't. Uh-huh.
What do you mean they're going to Florida?
I went to Shloshim. I thought I'm going to see you there. You didn't go.
No, they have.
I didn't know. I wish you told me.
So after,
I wish you told me. Give me the
you know
stuff.
Rabbi Yosef Halawai? You know him a little bit? You know the kid?
Sure.
You know, he's like a whip. He spoke without notes, and he's quoted Rambams and Gemaras like his father. I don't know.
Yeah.
Coming from not
So I was his Rebbe, and the other one, Tzvi Fink,
Sure.
So after the whole shebang, I didn't know what to do. I'm not too close to Chaim, as you know a little bit of the history. I felt for all these speeches and everything.
What happened?
Okay. Welcome everyone to the Shiur. I'm sorry we're starting a little bit late. So we're starting a few minutes late. Um, we're holding an iggeres HaTeshuvah perek. Iggeres HaTeshuvah perek.
Sorry, hey.
Page Tzadik. I I try to take a trip sometimes with the children. But call once a year we take a road trip. So a couple of years ago, Visagate when the Yidden Forum, kids say, Tati, when are we going? And when the car is full, we're going. Takes an hour, two, three, 4 or 5 days Visagate. By the time we're out on the road, it's
People start coming back.
so, but we're usually traveling for a week, and sometimes we take a tent with us. So it's like a big Bismarck Park time. So we were going to New Hampshire. We did an Airbnb. A guy has a house on a farm, 300 acres. A week, 300 acres. It's a huge, these places in the sticks. It's like $200 a night.
In a palace, it's not a.
Yeah.
It's a palace.
Okay.
You need a scooter in the house to go.
But you don't have a minion.
Adapter over there was down the block with Bethlehem named. So I had a Haisa mikveh and a minion. A Haisa mikveh and a minion.
In Bethlehem?
Yeah, the Satmar. What do you mean? There's a book even in the house that they described the history of Bethlehem, Maine, and they said that the town was almost bankrupt. But this is a Goyish book, a book in this house. We're only alive because of the Satmar Hasidics. Because the Satmar Hasidics.
Keep the mikveh on.
They keep the town.
Oh, the whole
They'll give
town.
on Ois town. So give on Ois
whole
town. So a book, just a book, the history of their town. So it was fascinating. Anyway, so by the time we left, it was already by night. By the time we were already in New Hampshire, it was already midnight. So we pull off the highway, and I go to the car is empty, so I fill up the gas. Forza Charois on the highway. We're driving. Mit Namal, the car stopped. I felt the car stopping, so I pulled it over to the side of the road. The car had stopped.
At the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night.
But you already dropped the key in there.
No, we didn't get there yet.
Oh.
Didn't get there yet. We're middle of Veisvos, Nowheresville, USA. And the car stopped. No, so we called 911. State trooper pulls up. What's the matter? I said, I don't know. I was in the gas station. I filled up. I went out. And the car stopped. I told him, and he said, I know this is the spot. So I said, what's the spot? He said, the gas station has a problem. They have diesel, and they don't put a sign. It's not clear. If you read the small letters, it says it's diesel. But steht nicht mit oisis kiddush lavona like in a regular gas station. So all the time we get a phone call. This is the spot where the cars get stuck. They put in the diesel as a hektar foreign, and then they get stuck. This is the exact spot where the car where they get stuck. Yeah. Okay. So was Tutman, the kids. So they told me we can't take all your kids at once. Maybe you want to stay with half the kids. I'll take your wife with the kids, and then we'll take them to the gas station, back to the gas station. Okay. The kids were so excited. The kids jumped into the car. They said, "Can we take pictures?" Yeah. They take pictures. They had in the back like a cage.
Oh, for the
yeah.
right.
It was not stop. It's like a cage in the back. And the kids were
It's
so
a trooper
excited. They
house.
said, "Can we go to the back?" Yeah, you can go to the back. And the kids took pictures. It was exciting. But part of
you skimming the trip.
Should you to give it the trip?
That's very important.
So, 1:00 we had to get back. We're trying to find the taxi to take us to.
Well, what'd you do? Your car.
Car's going to be stuck on the road. What can you do?
How did you
No
get it going?
mechanic is going to do
What did
anything
they
for you.
do for it?
So I finally got a taxi. As Nissim that I got a taxi, a van taxi, that would take us to the car to the house where we rented. It was about another 45 minutes. So the taxi drove us 45 minutes, dropped us off in the house. Baruch Hashem for that.
Plenty.
It costed plenty. And then for a week we didn't have a car, so I called a mechanic to come with a pickup truck to take the car. I needed to be and I need to flush the system and no, I have to pay for my pocket. No one's hired for that. Pay out the K. So in the meantime, we're stuck in this house in the middle of nowhere. I was thinking every morning I'll drive over. Machai is a Haisa mikveh, and there's a Bais Medrash over there. The while was stuck. So the health Abishter that this guy that owns the house wanted to have that his house should have tax free. So I figured this out as I'm looking through his drawer. So how do you get the tax? Yiddish Shakop. His name is Richard Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you get the house to be tax free? So apparently in New Hampshire there's this rule that if your property has walking paths, trails, if it has walking trails and it's open to the public, so they're tax free. So he has walking paths on his property. No one knows how to get this property, but
300
acre nowhere.
But by the law, that's the law.
He has, and it's taka marked, and he has a good. And we went every day on the thing. It was a long walk. It was 2-3 hours. It was It was a good trail. It was taka good trail. And so we had what to do. Okay, the Vaila took a week till the mechanic was able to flush it, and then
which mechanic did you use it?
I don't know, some mechanic up there in the sticks.
Yeah.
And Baruch Hashem was a good mechanic. He figured it out. He flushed it, and we picked up the car and was ready in time to come back. The Vaila were on the property, So I told the kids, so the ikket is that I take a trip so we could spend time. They could,
So stories,
take
Negunim,
stories,
right?
the fireplace, get more roast marshmallows and tell Nagunim, and tell stories in Nagunim. So I told them one of the stories. I said, you think that what's the big deal? You put in this type of gas, that type of gas. What's the difference? But it makes a very big difference to the car. We put in diesel. Accidentally, I put in diesel. It's a noise. So I told them a story from my grandfather. And that my grandfather said that his father told them that when they got married, they went to a furniture store. They went to a big furniture store, in a big city, and there were 3 floors in the furniture store. The first floor.
Actually, heard this from the Israelis.
The first floor.
Saying it so many times, but
Yeah, I said,
hey, how are you?
Oh, welcome.
Come get a warm chunk of.
Yes, welcome.
York.
So my Zayda loved this story actually.
Lieberman.
So he's Azoy. There was 3 floors to the furniture. The first floor there was regular Russian furniture. Give me. There was regular Russian furniture, cheap stuff. The second floor there was more expensive. The third floor was top quality stuff, imported from Italy. So the salesman showing them for the furniture, they went to top floor. You showed them this set, that set. One set was 5,000 ruble. And he showed them that there was an imperfection on the table. He said because there was an imperfection, it was a 50% discount. It was 2,500 ruble. So my Zayda said, his father asked, Bazoy, in the first floor we had that Russian furniture. I noticed that one of the sets had a very big scratch on the table. Would you also give a 50% discount on that? So the guy laughed. He said, that? I won't give you even 1 nickel discount. On this fancy Italian set, so an imperfection takes away the value. So we're putting it onto 50% discount. But the Russian furniture here, you can find 10 scratches. I'm not going to take off anything. So my Zayda said that his father said, this unbelievable lesson, avoid Hashem. It's an unbelievable lesson. It's trying times that, and he was telling his children that I'm going to tell you soon in a second, right? That this is the way is like this. If there's a pagam, a blemish, that a goy, one of you goyim that you see in the street, that their behavior is and their life is with a pagam in it, it doesn't make the difference. It doesn't take away from their value. So it makes no difference. You can have 10 scratches, and they won't even lose 1 ruble in their value. But a Yid who is special imported furniture, Gevaldik, this is special, top, high quality. So if there's a scratch, that takes away from the value. What we're going to learn in the perek today is we spoke about this in perek Gimel, perek Dalet, that the Alter Rebbe here in Tanya, that Alter Rebbe asks. The Alter Rebbe asks, why is it that there's a Rishayim that in the days of the Beis Hamikdash, the people, Harosha died at the age of 50, 60, there was Kodesh. Today, we don't see it happening that way. Someone here asked, Alter Rebbe is asking, why is good things happening?
They do not only.
So someone asked, so the Alter was asking, why is good things happening to bad people? Why is bad things happening to good people? So the answer is no. That's not the question of the Alter Rebbe. That's totally not that we spoke about this the other day. It's not the question of the Alter Rebbe. Tosfos already asked this question. Suvas Daf Lamed, and many, Gedol Yisrael already spoke about this issue. It's very hard to us understand. The Ibshtis Tishmoinus. And Tosfos says you never know, maybe this, maybe that. That's not the question. That's not the question. The Alter Rebbe, we said that there was a dispute in Gedol Yisrael. How does punishment work? Is it that there's a brownie point system? You get enough points, you get to get Hayden. If you get enough points from the other chart, you get into Gehenna. Or is it that it's a natural cause? Chas v'sholom, like we spoke the story, the guy was throwing rocks from his field into the road. And then when he was older, he was walking on that road and he littered with his rocks. And he went and he slipped and he banged his head. So that punishment wasn't that someone whipped him, someone hold him into. He did it himself. He tripped over his own rocks. And this is what the Alter Rebbe is talking about here in Tanya. Kodesh, the Alter Rebbe is going to say, the Kodesh is a natural consequence. It's not a punishment. It's in a way. So it helps a little bit. Sometimes we think of the Kroy Kodesh, tzaddikim HaKadosh Baruch Hu medaktik aleim kechut hasayda. That the Eibush is medaktik with tzaddikim kechut hasayda. So we're the chosen people. So like, in that famous quote from Tuvia the Melchiker, the Jews are the chosen people. Chosen for what? So the Eibush chose us, and now, because we're tzaddikim, we're bnei Yisrael Am Kareva, we have to, it's our people. But, that's the way the Baal HaMusar always talk about it. Because the Jews are, the tzaddikim, so therefore the Eibush is medaktik kechut hasayda. But the way the Alter Rebbe is going to deal with it in this perek is, it's not that way. It's a natural consequence. The Yid, the neshama of a Yid is a different machine. It's a different machine. The whole world is one machine, and the Jews, the inner machine of the Jews, it's a different mechanism. On the outside, it looks like this guy has eyes and a nose and a beard. So but it's not. It's a different machine. The Yidden, their machine is from the pnimius of Yud Kei Vav Kei. We'll talk about it in a moment. Even the way the neshama comes into the body, the Alter Rebbe will bring a raya from the pasuk. Not only the way the neshama is l'mayla in heaven, but even the way the neshama comes down. The way the neshama is into this body, it's still Yud Kei Vav Kei. So therefore, if it gets disconnected from Yud Kei Vav Kei, so Rahman al-Islam, it's like a cliffhanger. A guy is hanging from a cliff, and then the Chochem cuts the string. So why is it? It's not his fault. All he did he cut the string. Now he's going to get punished and get killed. He was hanging off a cliff, so the string was keeping him safe. Now if he ripped the rope, it's not a punishment. He hits the bottom and he's dead. And this is what the Alter Rebbe is going to say. Therefore, the person the neshama is connected to the Eibishter. And Aveda, which is Kodesh, is like cutting off that string. So it's not a punishment. And why did the person live to 50, 60? The Alter Rebbe says, it's just like the man who's hanging off a cliff and he cut the rope. He doesn't die instantaneously. It takes a few minutes till he goes flying down. For those 3 minutes, it's dead man walking. The dead man's flying. He's going to die. Elamai right now is alive. So this person, the Alter Rebbe says, there's a Reshimoy that's in him that allows that he can live to 50, 60, but it's impossible. Once he hits 50 or 60, it's impossible that he'll live one day further. Naturally impossible. Why? Because he's a Jew, and that's his machine. The makeup of his machine is Yud Kei Vav Kei. And Yaakov Chevel Nachlos, I'm going to say it's like a rope, and he's tied up to Yud Kei Vav Kei Lamaila, to the Yud Kei Vav Kei Lamata. And if he cuts the rope, he's going to go flying, and he's going to hit the ground. He's going to splatter. It'll be nothing left from him.
But in Golis, like today, you don't see cars being implemented.
That's what we're going to get to the next perek. How come in Golis it's different? Perek Vav. Right. We'll talk about this in Perek Vav. In Perek Hey, so that's the way it works. By a goy, it doesn't work that way. Why? Because the goy to begin with is a different machine. The goy to begin with is not Yud Kei Vav Kei. The goy to begin with, the Alter Rebbe is going to give a mashal for this, which is also the nimshal, that the way the Eibishter created the world is he created through dibur. If you make a hefsek, if you speak and you go like this, and maybe the voice gets a drop diminished, and everyone could still hear. But if you're blowing and you put a chatzitza, then the other side you get zero blow. So the neshama, because it's vayipach ba'apas nishmas chayim, so when the gets cut off, so that's it. The yid can't live any longer. But everything else in the world, it doesn't work that way. On a deeper level is because the neshama is pnimius, the chayis of the neshama is from pnimius etzoinish l'kadosh. So when he goes against the Eibishter's rotzen on something very important, so he can't live anymore because his chayis is pnimius etzoinish. And now he went to Eibishter, but when this gets chetzoinius of the rotzen of the Eibishter, which is everything else in the world, So they did against the Eibish's Rotzen. Sure, yeah, not they get a punishment, but they're not. That it's not that it doesn't. So it doesn't bring. Huh?
What's considered like an avera that's convenience?
But so that anything that's Kodesh and Misa B'dei Shemayim, then we know that's like, right. Now the Alter Rebbe is going to say later that the truth is every mitzvah. The Alter Rebbe gives a mashal that there's a rope, a heavy, just like when you have a boat, that boat that weighs, 1,000,000 tons, and every boat is pulled over with rope. The difference is how thick the rope is. It's a very big, thick rope, which has many, many strands. The neshama has 613 strands that it's hanging. So there's a person could make a little pagam and keep on cutting. And Rahman al if he keeps on cutting all around, then it could even if it's not one big aveda, which is chorus or misa b'nei shemaim, then Rahman al person could get disconnected from that as well. So if you have to ask, what's the difference between a Jew and a Gentile? What's the difference between everything in this world and a Jew? It's not fear. So you don't have to say, because the Yidden are close to the Eibishter and the Kroy ve'akodesh. Tzaddikim HaKadosh Baruch Hu medak kalem chutzayde, because the Jews are so close to Hashem. The Eibishter says it feels very not fear when you hear that. It scratches your ear when you hear that. But according to what the Alter Rebbe is saying is perek, it's a different. If saying it's not fear, just because I put diesel in my thing, it's just not fear. I paid the same $2.99. It's not fear. Not fear ahin, not fear ahead. The car was built to go with regular, and you put in diesel. So that's what happened. I put in the diesel. And apparently, I'm not the only yokel. Every yokel is always stopping at the same place and stopping at the same place in the roads. So says the state trooper. It's not a shayla of not fear. The car was built to use this. The neshama was built this way. The neshama was built with a yutke vavke. Nimis ritzoin of the Eibishter. So if the neshama, the yid chooses to go against the Eibishter's rotzen, he's cutting away at that connection. So there's a natural consequence. We'll talk later how come it's not happening. But Bisman Beis Hamikdash was a dova posher, but every Jew was seen as a natural consequence. Now, there's a chisaron that today doesn't happen. There's also Milo, because still the tshuva. The tshuva means we'll reconnect. That's the whole idea of tshuva.
It's like when a person is sick. If you know that you're sick, you go grade medicine.
Yeah.
If you don't know that you're sick, it's too late.
Yeah. Right.
The chisaron is a mile.
Right. Today, the chisaron that the Yid is still alive is still a mile because he can do tshuva and still connect and reconnect.
I rode on the road with the guy say it was in Tel Aviv in 50th floor fixing the water, the hot water, the roof. The pipe broke, so it fall down. He said, that's it, I have another minute to leave. He said, if I'm surviving, do the fayomi, do the healing. He keeps saying it as he gets closer to the floor. And the truck that selling mattresses passed by, he landing on the mattresses. He looking at Hashem and say, you see how much shiot you could speak in when you're in the cloud? How do you say it in English?
Never understands. Hine, I'm sure because we need the same shall kisla namaza, slab in the goof adam. When the nefesh elokis is coming down into this world in order to become enclosed in the goof of a human being. Even when it comes into this world, it's not the regular dibur. It's like the pnimius amakra dibur. Who have elyon amerubas ba'ois hey tatok, and this as we said before in the previous perek, that in the Agdomas, that the Minute Klal Yisrael to say in Shavuos before the Aseret Adibros, that we say that's also klila the lesbe mashoshe, that when a person speaks, there's a hevel, there's a wind that comes out, and later the five articulators split it, and the ois hey, because usually, I guess the way Chazal understood is that the usual sound, if you didn't break it up in articulators, it would sound like a hey. It's also the hay was called the osa klila de lesbe mashosha. It's a very weak ois that doesn't have traction to it. Later, when you break it up in the lips, in your tongue, v'chulu v'chulu, then you have the five. So even the way the neshama, the way it's lamaila. Obviously, we said it's yud kevavke. It's man denofach and the toifach no. The Torah says that the yipach ba'ap of nishmas chaim. The Eibishter blew into his nostrils a soul of life. So say that the neshama, the relationship with the Eibishter is very different than everything in the world. It's like neficha. But even the way the neshama actually comes into the body, it's also different than everything in the world. It's like the difference of the oisis hadibur, the way it's already 5 articulators, or the mocker of the dibur. As the pasuk says, "Vayipach ba'apav nishmas chaim," that the Eibishter blew into his nostrils a soul of life. Vayahi ha'odam lenefesh chaya. The Rebbe says that's why in this perek the Alter Rebbe is quoting the last few words of the pasuk, because in the previous perek it wasn't. It was just talking about the etzem of the neshama. And this perek is talking the way the neshama comes into the body. So in the pasuk is mashma that vayipach ba'apav nishmas chayim is connected to the end of the pasuk by hiyo adam lenefesh chaya. That the way the person is a nefesh chaya, it's with the type of neshama which is vayipach, as the Zohar says, uman denofach. So even the way the neshama is in the body, the neshama is still connected to the yud kevavke. And that's why pasuk says, "Kechelak Hashem Hamoy, Yaakov Chevel Nachalosa." Also here, you see that the Alter Rebbe in the previous perek only quoted Kechelak Hashem Ne'amoy. And now, Alter Rebbe is quoting also the second half of the pasuk, Yaakov Chevel Nachalosa. Why? Because in the previous perek, we're talking about the etzem. Kechelak Hashem Hamoy, the neshama is Kechelak of Yud Kevavke. In this perek, we want to say also the way the neshama comes into the body, and that's that it's still connected to Yud Kevavke, and that's taka. That's indeed the explanation of the difference at the beginning and the end of the pasuk. Kechelak Hashem Hamoy is the neshama itself is Yud Kevavke. Yaakov Kevel Nachlose. Also the way it's in this world that the person is in the akev and the heel of the neshama. It's chevel. It's like a rope that goes all the way from heaven down to this world, and it's still connected to its original source. Just like a rope. That one end of the rope is tied up in heaven. And the other edge is lamata. The same thing is with the neshama. What's the meaning of the pasuk vayipach? Is lahoidis lon, to teach us. Kemoy al derech Moshe. כשאדם נהפך לאיזה מוקר, אם יש איזה דבר קויצץ ומפסק בין תאים, אין הבל הנהפך אוי לא מגיע כלל לאיזה מוקר. That if a person is blowing and there is something which is mafsek, so the wind is not going to get there at all. It's not going to get there.
A balloon, if I blow next to the balloon, nothing going to happen.
Nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to go in. Kocha mamish, im yesh davar choitzes umafsek. So if there is a davar which is choitzitz mafsik, so then the wind is not going to get there. It's not going to reach. Ach be'emes. We see here. We see that the Alter Rebbe gives 2 mashalim. One mashal of a rope, that if you cut the rope, as we'll say later in the perek, if a person's hanging with a harness off a cliff, he has to have a rope holding him up. And if you're going to cut the rope, he's going to go flying. Then there is that comes from the pasuk Yaakov Kevel Nachlosei, which is the end of the Torah, and then you have a pasuk in the beginning of the Torah.
Kevel is a portion, no?
Not Telek.
Could be, but here the Alter Rebbe is teaching it chevel, right? Here the Alter Rebbe is teaching chevel means a rope. So and the beginning, the Alter Rebbe says vayipach, even though there is another pshat that the Alter Rebbe says vayipach means that the neshama is vayipach, that it's from the pnimius. But again, here's the Alter Rebbe is reading it with the end of the pasuk. So it's saying that vayipach ba'apav nishmas chaim is to teach us that if there would be a hefsek, that the blowing would not reach that spot. The Rebbe says that the truth is a little bit of a difference between the 2 mishalim and the 2 psukim. If you say that anything, if there's any disconnect, so it's the opposite of the mashal of the chevel. The chevel is he's tied. If you go to sleep, you did nothing. You're tied. The guy's hanging from a harness from a cliff. He went to sleep. He's dangling. He went to sleep. Okay. He's not going to die. Well, yes. But if you're telling me that you have to make sure that the hevel on the feyach has to constantly get there, and if the hevel, if the wind is not going to blow, it's not going to get there, there's going to be no light. It's a very different understanding. So the Rebbe says that it really is talking about within the neshama. The higher level within the neshama is that you constantly have to refresh that connection with the Eibishter. And if you're not actively working on the relationship, then the Chas V'Shalom will be a disconnect easily. And then there's a lower level within the neshama where, as long as a person doesn't take a knife and actually sever the connection, he's connected.
That's what it says. That's what it said. Listen, I said.
So the Rebbe is not saying here. You're saying, but anyway, it's interesting. The Rebbe is pointing out
when a baby born, don't you say in English you have to cut the rope?
that's a different type of cord. But till then, you have to have the cord connected. Very good.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be alive.
The truth is that there is nothing spiritual, physical that could be choitzitz for the Eibishter. The pasuk says Shemaim v'Saaretz Ani Molech. So I'm everywhere. So how could there be a chatzitza? It's saying there's a chatzitza. Eibishter is trying to give energy to the Jew. The Eibishter is trying to load the neshama to the Jew, and there is a sin that blocks it. How could it block? If the Eibishter is everywhere, how could there be a chatzitza, a blockage to the Eibishter? So the emes is Ein Shum Davar Gashmi V'Ruchni Choitzes L'Fanav Yisbarach. Kelo Yis Shemaim v'Saaretz Ani Molech. Pasuk says that. I mean, everywhere. Number 2, there's a pasuk Kol Aretz Kavoid Molech Kol Aretz Kavoid. Number 3, there's a Maimah Chazal in the Zohar Les Asar Ponim in and the Zohar brings the pasuk of the Shemaimim Al Val Aretz Mitochas Einoi. And then there's another Maimah Zohar which is Yom Malach Kol Almim V'Chulu. So the Eibush is in every space. So what are you telling me? What are you telling me that the person can make a chatzitza and not allow that Yudke Bavke should reach him? If the Eibush is everywhere, how can you make a chatzitza? As the pasuk says, it's your sins that are making that means it's lagabe the person. The Havdalah is lagabe the person, not lagabe the Eibishter. Why is it? Because he did against the Eibishter's Ratzon, which is the Ratzon. There's the Eibishter's Ratzon that he should do mitzvahs, and he did against it. And the Eibishter's Ratzon is Machaya everything. So therefore, he went against. It's not the pshat. In other words, it's not the pshat that there's something that the Eibishter wants to be everywhere, and like a human being has a psakoyach. That's what it's the Eibishter's rotz. It's the Eibishter's rotz. And Chassidus says that the person, the Eibishter is the Bala rotz. So the Eibishter could be higher than his rotz. Not so. There is the rotzen Torah mitzvahs, and then the Eibush himself, which is higher than the rotzen of Torah mitzvahs. So the guy with the person, and he doesn't have an ownership on the Eibush's rotzen. He went against the Eibush's rotzen. That's Havdalah. The guy with the Eibush, he's not tied ilu by his rotzen. So therefore, it's not, even though he went against the Eibush's rotzen. So naturally, the Yudke Vavke should not reach, but that's not a contradiction to the Eibishter. It was the Bala Ratzon, but it's a contradiction to the Jew. The Eibishter, it gives him a Ratzon to do the mitzvahs, and he went the opposite, and a very strong thing. So therefore, he makes a disconnect. That the Eibishter's Ratzon is the source of the Yud Kei Vav Kei. V'nirmaz b'koitza shel Yud, and there's an emes for it in the koitza shel Yud. There is an emes for it in the koitza shel Yud. So a person, the person is made up of the Yud Kei Vav Kei, and there's a koitza shel Yud, which is the Eibishter's Ratzon, and he went against the Eibishter's Ratzon. So therefore, it disconnects. His neshama gets disconnected.
That's why we're saying end of Amad B'fnei Haratzon. Once a person wants something together.
Ratzon
It's different Ratzon.
No.
That's
Because the Ratzon ain't like a davar Ratzon. Because the Ratzon has a koyach over all the other koyches and nefesh. Yeah, the Yud Kei, the Yud A, and the Vav Kei, all has all is the Ratzon is the superpower of it. So same thing by Yud Kei Vav Kei Lamaila, that there is the Eibishter's Ratzon, which is nirmaz in the koitza shel Yud, and a person that went against the Eibishter's Ratzon. So now he disconnects himself from the Yud Kei Vav Kei Lamaila. V'zeu inyan HaKodesh. And that's the pshat when we talk about Kodesh. Shenikres v'nifsek hevel hamshokim m'shem Yud Kei Vav Kei Baruch Hu shenimshechem heita Torah kanal. And that's the pshat of Kodesh. Kumashkosav Pashas Emor, as it says in Pashas Emor, v'nichles hanefesh melafonai ani Hashem melafonai daike. And the pnimis of the Eibishter, the Yid gets cut off. Bishor Avedis, Shein Bem Kodesh, Akaponim Bem Poigman Anefesh, and the other Avedis that there's no Kodesh. There is some Avedis which are egregious, just like a person's body. If you knock out or you puncture the lung, or if you puncture the heart, the whole person's life is dependent on the Evonim Pnimium. So if you puncture, you knock out one of those limbs, so the person can't live. As important as a hand is, a person can live without a hand. So there are things that's a pshat kodesh and misa b'dei shamayim. These, even though it's one mitzvah, the 613 mitzvahs, but it's a very powerful. It's like a strand that a person can't be hanging without that strand. If that strand gets cut off, it's like, say like there's a big rope holding the ship, and you in the core of the rope is there's a core and then there's around it, and you cut the core, so the other ones are not strong enough to hold the boat. The boat is going to rip and the boat is going to drift off. So same thing here. There is things which are critical, like a bodem pnimium. So if the person ripped and severed the connection on these issues, so then he can't live any longer. But the truth is, every mitzvah of the 613 mitzvahs is part of this rope. It does make a pagam. And when we say pagam, it means pagim sakin. Why is Alter Rebbe saying this? The Rebbe says because a lot of times we say in Sifrei Musar, Kabbalah, that a person sins, they makes a pagam. A person might think, what is the word pagam? Like nois and tam lafgam. Alter Rebbe says, no, pagam over here means, just like it says, a chalaf, that has to have chad v'cholot, and pagima sakim means if there's a pagima, a little got broke off, a tiny thing got broke off, it's chipped. So that's the pshat when we say a pagam, it rips, it chips away. Yeah, it chips away at this rope.
Meaning it's so light, like Bashchita, not every sheikh could find
right.
a gum.
So now you know the connection that even a small thing is poigim.
You have to be a mumche to know it's a pugam or not.
That's the connection.
If I take my finger and go to the chalaf 10 times, I would not know if it's pugam or not. A sheikh could have a feeling.
It's missing a little.
Right.
So that's the connection in today's chumash. What's the connection in today's chumash?
Isn't.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Asking.
Well, depends which one.
Chumash or the Tani?
It says take talyeka and
Kashtecha v'telecha and tzad eli tzad.
I was after
Rashi said, bring me kosher, not reik.
That there shouldn't be a pegim in the sakin. That shaloi ta'achelein in the vela. That's the connection to today's chumash.
You know, I should have shritta. Yitzchok want to eat a kosher shritta, not this.
So, well, that Moshel Mechevel Av Shozer Matayag Chavolim Dachim Kocha Hevel Am Shocha Hanal. This rope Kovel Matayag Mitzvahs is 613 strands. Shevach Chazashom Malachis Mehena. If he transgresses on one, Nifsek Hevel Adak. This Hevel can get severed. Gam B'chayiv Kodesim. So let's stop for a second. Alter is saying that my Kodesh Misavadei Shemayim, that was like knockout. That was tough. That's it. Could destroy. You get disconnected. The other things, so it cuts a little bit here, a little bit here. It could be Rahman al-Islam that if you cut too much, so and that the rope is already compromised, and it snaps. The rope will snap. Okay. Even in the case of Kodesh Misa, person doesn't die instantaneously. Why? You're telling me that the rope snapped, so you should die that second. Why do we find that the person doesn't die that second? Because there's a little bit of highest left on Nafshalakis. It depends if it's Kodesh or Misib Shemayim, if it's 50 or 60 years. Felo Yoy said he couldn't live any longer.
What's the difference between Kodesh and Misib?
One is 50 and one is 60. Well, some things are Kodesh and some are Misib Shemayim. Not everything is Kodesh. Mila is Kodesh.
Misib Shemayim is not, but the Kippurs is the Kinder.
No, but also the age. The age was one is 50, one is 60.
But the Einish is the same?
I don't know. But the Alter Rebbe is saying, why is he living until 50, 60? So as I said before, it's like the person is hanging off the cliff and there's a rope holding him up. And he cut the rope. He says, I didn't do anything. All I did was I deserve such terrible punishment. It's not a punishment. So the same thing. It's the same thing here. What's happening is that the person's flying, and he'll die when will be the impact. So same thing here. This person, the neshama got severed. Elamai does it a shimul nisha menefesh alokis. So therefore, the person could live a little bit longer. So okay. From here we learn also on the Tzad HaTov that there is, when a person cuts the rope, and then there's when the person is maintaining the rope, and the person is maintaining the connection. A little bit in this perek, there's a kapella that the Alter Rebbe says that to the Eibishter there's nothing mafsek. The Alter Rebbe brings so many rayas. We're holding already the third chelik in Tanya. We know already the leis asar ponem enei les machshava tvisa bei. Why 4 rayas, 5 rayas? How you count it? 4 or 5 rayas.
Everything is a gashmi. Like
so many rayas. By now we know that leis asar ponem enei. He says emes ein shum davar gashmi v'ruch rechoitzitz. And he brings 5 rayas. He needs 5 rayas. Why is it negated to go into this right now? So for that, we'll break up. And let's Hashem continue next.
In the soil now, every time there's a lot.
There's a beer nifla from the Rebbe on this, but I want to keep you in suspense.
There's a lot. You have a rocket coming from Lebanon or Gaza. So you have 60 seconds, half a second to go to what is it called? Shelter. So these 2 people walking in the building with the window outside. Actually, you're standing on a platform with a rope connected to the roof, right? And that's the way they go. So it takes them half an hour to go back to the roof. So one look at the other one and says, "מה צריך לעשות עכשיו?" They hear the alarm. The siren went on. They have 30 seconds to go to this, but they are hanging over there with the clip and the rope. Like, מה נשאר לנו לעשות?